How to turn pain into unstoppable progress. Pain is the raw, unpolished ore of greatness. It sits heavy and unyielding in the palm, cold, jagged, seemingly useless, until a mind aflame with purpose feeds it to the furnace of decision. Inside that heat, the ore liquefies, impurities hiss away, and molten possibility begins to flow. Every legend you admire, every Edison, every Lincoln, every Carnegie first felt their bones rattle against life's anvil. They did not run. They did not plead for softer blows. They lifted the hammer themselves and beat a new shape from the sparks. Hear me now. The sting in your chest is not the end of you. It is the birthplace of your second self. Close your eyes for a moment and remember the deepest wound you carry. A betrayal, a failure, a dream laughed off a stage. Feel how the bruise still changes color when you press on it. Good. That pulse is proof of life, proof that your story is still being written. The storm is not a signal to retreat behind shuttered windows. It is the sound of clouds breaking so the earth can drink. Let the thunder remind you how the sky announces change long before dawn cracks open. Today, we harness that voltage. Thomas Edison's laboratory burned to the ground in 1914. Flames leapt orange against December's black night, devouring notebooks, prototypes, and years of sweat. His son panicked, but the old inventor smiled through the smoke. He said, "Go get your mother. She'll never see a fire like this again." Edison did not cling to cinders. He sifted them for lessons. 3 weeks later, new buildings rose, and within months, he birthed an improved phonograph. That is mindset, the power to frame devastation as renovation, to see ashes as ink for the next patent. Mindset alone, however, is a sword without a wielder. Belief slides its hand around the hilt. Andrew Carnegie was a penniless immigrant boy who worked 12-hour shifts in a Pittsburgh cotton mill. Each night, aching, he read books borrowed on a stranger's membership card because he could not afford his own. He believed knowledge would ransom him from poverty. Every blister on his palms became a Braille sentence describing steel empires not yet visible. Belief is the telescope that lets you glimpse distant continents of possibility, continents you then must paddle toward with bleeding knuckles. Clarity sharpens that vision like a lens ground from crystal. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination, then watched 2 of his early studios collapse into debt. He slept on office floors, sold his typewriter, and sketched by streetlight. Out of that glare, he carved a single incandescent intention: create a place where childhood never ends. That clarity directed every brushstroke, every negotiation, every sleepless train ride until the swamps of Anaheim transformed into Main Street, USA. Pain blurred his horizons. Clarity restored them brighter than before. Purpose marches beside discipline, twin generals guiding each dawn. Henry Ford failed 2 automobile companies before the third caught spark. Creditors jeered, suppliers walked away, and yet, morning after morning, he returned to the factory floor, sleeves rolled high, grease under his nails. Discipline is love in work boots. Showing up when applause is absent, when the night shift feels endless, when results lag behind resolve. Purpose whispers why. Discipline replies how. Action is the bridge between intention and evidence. Harriet Tubman fled bondage with a star for compass and marsh water up to her chin. She could have stopped at her first taste of freedom, but action does not quit at personal salvation. She returned again and again, carving secret lines through darkness, freeing hundreds. Pain taught her the map of oppression. She repurposed it as a highway to deliver others. Gratitude fueled her. Gratitude for the breath in her lungs, for the chance to see another sunrise unshackled. When pain and gratitude dance, they generate endless momentum. Adaptability turns obstacles into origami, folding hard corners until they form wings. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election, buried 2 sons, and steered a fractured nation through civil war. He bent without breaking, shifting strategies like a willow in gale winds, yet rooting deeper with every storm. Resilience is not rigid, it is alive, responsive, cunning. It breathes through setbacks, converts wounds into wisdom, and files that wisdom into the spine. Learning is the compass recalibrated nightly. Booker T. Washington walked 500 miles to attend school, sleeping under sidewalks, working as a janitor to pay tuition. Between sweeping floors, he listened to lectures meant for wealthier ears, absorbing algebra and rhetoric until knowledge dripped from his fingertips. Every hardship became curriculum. When life throws bricks, the learner reads the inscriptions on the clay before building staircases. Now gather these embers: mindset, belief, clarity, purpose, discipline, action, gratitude, adaptability, resilience, and learning, and hold them close. Feel the collective heat. It is the same glow that burned behind the eyes of every titan who ever broke history open. Your pain is simply unrefined fuel waiting for this ignition sequence. Refuse to numb it. Refuse to hide it. Roar through it. Stand tonight on the fault line of your suffering and strike the flint of decision until sparks fly. Because beyond pain lies motion, and beyond motion lies mastery. Mastery of self, of craft, of destiny. When the wound in your side bleeds, let the drip mark your forward steps like breadcrumbs for the next dreamer to follow. When doubt rattles its chains, remember, chains can be melted into bridges. When fatigue whispers surrender, recall that weary legs still move mountains one pebble at a time. The dawn is not gifted, it is earned. Every morning you rise, you renew a silent contract with progress. I will trade comfort for conquest. Sign it in sweat. Sign it in late-night journal entries. Sign it in the small, unseen choices that compound into legends. You are the alchemist, the architect, the anthem. Do not wait for rescue, become the rescue. Do not seek permission, issue it. Do not fear the fire, remember, you are the one who commands its warmth. Hear the choir of past failures humming beneath your ribs. They are singing you forward. Feel the tremor of unrealized potential quivering in your fingertips. It is begging to be shaped. Lift your hammer, strike the anvil, send sparks into the dark until the dark becomes sunrise. Turn pain into unstoppable progress and let the world learn your name from the echo of the footsteps you leave blazing behind you. When you stop running from pain and start running with it, something sacred happens. Your life stops reacting and starts becoming. The victim becomes the visionary. The wounded become the warriors. Because pain, when claimed, transforms. It becomes a forge. It becomes an ally. It becomes a teacher no comfort could ever replace. Look at the greats, not in their glory, but in their agony. Steve Jobs was ousted from his own company, betrayed by the very system he built. He could have vanished into bitterness, but instead he disappeared into vision. Pixar was born in exile. The iPhone came after the fire. His return to Apple wasn't a comeback. It was a reinvention. Pain stripped away the noise and left him with purity, simplicity, genius in its most raw and resolved form. The same will be true for you. Don't just survive the pain, study it. Extract the truth buried beneath the ache. Because every setback is encoded with instruction. And those who dare to read it, those who face the burn with open eyes, become the rare ones. The few who live not by default, but by design. But understand this, there will be nights when the silence is louder than any scream, and the darkness whispers that it's never going to get better. In those moments, you must be louder. Your decision must be louder. Your resolve must be so thunderous that even your fear begins to doubt itself. That is the moment when progress begins. Not when it feels easy, not when the path is clear, but when everything inside you says stop, and you take one more step anyway. Because one more step is never just one more step. It's proof to yourself that you are not who you used to be. That you're no longer waiting for circumstances to change. You're changing in spite of them. Understand, pain doesn't end with victory. It evolves. And your ability to evolve with it is what defines your trajectory. Champions don't eliminate pain. They elevate through it. Kobe Bryant tore